and welcome to Puffles Creations, and this is what we're going to be making today. A geometric pot made with Chameleon mica powder. So here's the mould, and any of the things that I use in this video I'll put links in so that you know what I've used. These are Let's Resin Chameleon mica powders, and we're just going to apply them to the pot. Here we go. First one is plum. As you can see, some of the mica powder has drifted off the brush. That's because of the static quality of silicone. So all you need to do, just have a little clean up, take it off from where you don't want it so that it's nice and clean, ready for your next colour. And my next colour I chose was teal. You'll see the distinctive patterns that the mould has on it, so you can stay in the lines quite easily. Just make sure when you do the mica powder that you clean up a lot. Where I'm cleaning now will actually just be black resin. Next colour I've chosen is blue. Again, it's easy to see where you can keep the mica powder in the design. Make sure that you apply the mica powder in such a way that you cover everything in the mould. Otherwise, I'll show you what will happen if you don't. You'll get a void, which means that the resin we're going to put in is going to be black, so you'll just see black resin. This last one that I'm putting on is golden. Now this part of the mould that I'm doing golden is actually going to be the base of the pot, because at the moment the pot's turned inside out. So just keep cleaning. Try and keep as clean as possible. That way you'll get better consistency with your colours, and you'll also keep your workspace and yourself tidy. That way you don't have to spend much time cleaning up at the end, because this stuff is messy. It will go everywhere. Okay, next is the lid. And for the middle part, I chose to do the golden. So just apply that. Just try and keep it in the circle there. And go right up to sort of the tip of the next design so that you have a nice full circle. Next layer is plum. There you can see the golden one in the middle. Plum is next, and you can see where the powder's sort of drifted over. Just have a little bit of a clean. Next one's teal. That looks pretty good coverage. Again, if any bits of the powder go where you don't want them, clean up with a wet wipe. Now this part that I'm doing here, this is the golden again, and make sure, as I said, that you put the mica everywhere. Okay, so now you have your two pieces done, the main part of the pot and the lid with your mica powder. Just another tiny little clean up. And now I'm showing you where I've turned the lid the right way in. This is where I pour the resin in. And this line that I'm showing you here, the line that I'm pointing to, is the very top of the mould. Make sure you come right up to there with your resin, because that's the lip that sits inside the jar. Now I'm going to flip the pot the right way in. So where you pour in the resin on the main part of the pot, that's actually the base. So what I did was I did golden on the bottom and golden on the base of the lid so that they match. You see? All right. Now it's time to do the resin. Clean up. Between the two of these, the lid and the main part of the pot, they take about 300 milliliters. So I'm doing black resin, so that's what I'll be mixing up. And I am using Marblers colorant. I like this brand, it mixes well, gives a good color result. And this one's called True Black. So I use a mask. This one's called a Breath Buddy. You need a respirator like this to protect you from the fumes of the resin. You don't want to be breathing this in, because this stuff won't do you any favours. You can also see I wear nitrile gloves, and then on top of those I'm going to put chemically resistant gloves. Those are the green ones. Let's Resin is a ratio of 1:1, which means whatever you use of part A, which is the resin, you use the same amount of part B, which is the hardener. So we're going to use 300 milliliters of resin in total for both pieces. So that's 150 milliliters of part A and 150 milliliters of part B. Be careful with your ratios, because that is important. If you want the resin to cure properly, don't be pedantic about it, but try and get them as close as possible to the same. That way you'll have good results. And what I do is I take the resin and pour it in a larger container, and then I'll take the hardener and I'll pour that in, and the net result of the two going in together is 300 milliliters. The hardener is thicker. When you pour it in, you can see that it's heavier than the resin. This is why you have to mix it together, and I must admit I do invest quite a bit of time in mixing. Use a heat gun, give it short little blasts of heat, and that'll help to mix it together, and as it thins from warming, the consistency will go better. Now I added 8 of those little coffee spoons to this 300 milliliters of resin. Don't count them because of editing, some of them got cut out, but you can see I put on the screen, put 8 of those little teaspoons in. That's a good amount. Takes on a nice colour, get a nice thick consistency, and then you just stir. Again, you can do a little bit of heat gun, that'll help to warm it up again. And then the fun bit, the actual pouring of the resin. I pour a little bit in, maybe about half, and then as you can see I'm squeezing the mould so it's making the resin come up to the top. This brings up all the little bubbles, and they are tiny little bubbles. If you don't do this and give it a little tap as well, you will get little bubbles. And then once you've given the mould a little bit of a squeeze to get the bubbles out, fill it up. Then on you go with the lid. Now the lid is different because you squeeze it, but it's actually quite difficult to get the little bubbles out from this. And unless you use, I didn't, some kind of tool, like a little silicone tool or something, to go in under that lip, you won't get the bubbles out, and you'll see what happens to mine because I didn't. So if you can find something to sort of just run under the rim of the lid you won't get the problem I did. But because the bubbles that were created in my design, and they look so universal, apart from not having the pointy bits with it, which they should obviously have, it actually doesn't look bad. Give a little bit of heat gun, get some of those bubbles out, and then I transfer them both to a surface that I know is level. And there you are, you can see with the lid filled to the rim. Very important with this particular mould. Okay, here we are, 24 hours later. Okay, so the unmoulding. This is the lid. Pick a spot and just start peeling back. When I'm unmoulding anything, I always wear my nitrile gloves, just in case there should be, you know, resin that hasn't cured. But 24 hours later is a good long time for it to cure. So, the reveal and the magic. This is the fun bit, I must admit. You never really know what you're going to get, and this is the fun part. So on that bottom part of pointy bits, I have air bubbles, but they look so uniform that it actually looks like part of the design. As I say, this is the rim that goes inside the pot. There's the design for the lid. I did notice one thing. I put 4 colours on the main part. I put the plum, the teal, the blue and the golden. But for some reason, glitch in the old brain box, I only put 3 colours on the lid. I didn't do the blue. So see, the inside is black. That's the resin. You can see my hubby, who was helping me, in the bottom of the jar. Briefly there. So here you can also see where I'm pointing out where I didn't put the mica powder, so there's voids here as well where you can see the resin. But I'm happy with the project. I think it looks good. I love those colours. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.